Many times I've asked myself, what if this quiet season isn't famine at all? What if it's seed time, a time for roots to strengthen and new growth to form? I decided I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to tend to the seed and let God mature the harvest. Welcome to the Weekday Refill. I'm Sarissa Latoy, the Dreamcaster, author, seasoned interior designer, and mentor to Christian interior designers just like you. This is the Weekday Refill, which is a moment where we pause, center on God, and refill so that we can serve from our overflow. Today, I'm going to continue our discussion on consistency is a way of life. And our primary focus is going to be on truly understanding seed time and harvest. Now, before we really get in, I'm going to read Genesis chapter 8 and 22. I'm going to read it from the New American Standard Bible. And it's such a good little scripture where the Lord is just establishing for us some things. If you've been following along, this particular scripture comes into play right after the flood. And God is telling Noah, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. He said that as long as the earth is spinning, these cycles will be going on, and the earth will continue to produce its life. And really, what this verse does is this verse is establishing God's rhythm. There's many rhythms that are taking place in this particular scripture. As I said, I'll repeat, there's seed time and harvest, winter and summer, cold and hot, day and night. And all of these are rhythms that control the earth and how we experience it. Now, I'm primarily focusing here on seed time and harvest. And there's so much that we can gain from that for our lives, for our businesses, and for the people that we serve and the ministry that we do as interior designers. So, as I said the other day, I am accustomed to what is known as the Greco-Roman tradition in having 4 seasons: winter, summer. Wait, I'm all out of order. Try it again. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. All right. Spring is where the birds are chirping and all the new things are budding. Winter is when everything is dead, where it looks like it's dead, right? And the other two just kind of get us through from one extreme to the other, right? Well, as I said, when I first shared this, I read the TLV version of the Bible. That's the Tree of Life version of the Bible. It is a Messianic Jewish version. And in that Bible, they discussed, or in one of the, I'll say like, it was a PDF within the app that you could look at, review, download, etc. And it really was talking about the 2 seasons, seed time and harvest. And I found it to be very interesting that there were only 2 seasons, seed time and harvest. And so I really went into looking more into what was going on in seed time and harvest. Now, it would appear a lot of times in seed time, especially when you are planting a fresh seed in the ground, that it's dormant. There's nothing happening. But if you've ever seen like a cross section of a seed growing, it is the coolest thing. It is so much activity happening underground. It's almost nearly unbelievable and extremely shocking and impressive to see how on the top this thing is buried, this thing is hidden. But on the bottom, below the surface, it's all kinds of things happening. The sprouts are bursting out of the base of the seed. How the seed even knows to send the roots down and not up is incredible. That is a pure sign of the Lord in and of itself. But nonetheless, there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of prep that's happening. And as I said in the beginning, I had to start asking myself, when I was in seasons of there being quiet times in my business, I had to be able to assess, is this truly a quiet time? Or I'm sorry, is this truly like a famine? Right? Because the world wants to make us to believe that if nothing is happening, right? If we're not producing, if the clients aren't calling, if our phone isn't ringing off the book, if we're not fully booked until, 6 months from now, then we must have a problem and we must be in famine. And they really a lot talk about being in feast and famine. Like there's no other option. And they would lead you to believe that famine is or really that seed time rather is a period and a season of lack, which then requires you to operate in fear so that you can make bad decisions on what kind of clients or projects that you would take that you may never ever take because you already know that this particular project or client is not a good fit for you and your design business. But if you operate from a mindset of famine, you make bad decisions. But if you operate from the fact that, oh, things have gotten quiet. All right. Now this is a time and this is a period for me to stop focusing on all the different clients that I'm getting and everything like that. Like, of course, I'm going to put some of my attention over there given the opportunity. But until the opportunity arises, I'm going to put my attention on sowing seeds and on watering those seeds and tending to the seeds. And one of the things that I found very interesting, in addition to that, is like the feast part, right? So feast is likened unto, in my mind, unto the harvest, right? So if famine is seed time, and then feast is likened unto by the world the harvest. Now, let me give a little caveat here when I keep saying likened unto by the world. One thing we know for sure, and two things we know for certain, that everything that God creates, the devil, our adversary, does not have the ability to create anything. God didn't give him that ability. He gave us the ability to be able to create because he created us in his image. It's the only being in the Bible that he created in his image. Second, because the enemy, the devil, our adversary, cannot create, what he can do is manipulate. And so what he has done from the worldview perspective, from the hustle culture perspective, is he has manipulated seed time and harvest to feel negative, to feel heavy, to feel overwhelming, to feel like there's never enough and you're never going to be able to attain and get what you need to attain or sustain any type of having or sustain any type of stability in your life or anything like that. That's why feast or famine is a negative mindset and a negative connotation. But let me tell you, harvest and seed time and harvest is a beautiful thing, right? So why is feast so bad? Well, what happens when you're feasting, right? One of the biggest feasts that I could think of for here in the US is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the holiday where we got turkeys. Now, if you're in a southern home, you're going to have turkey, candied yams, uh, also sweet potato pie. I don't know why we have candied yams and sweet potato pie. It's the same thing in a different form, but we had it, okay. Gravy, dressing, rolls. Don't know why we have rolls and dressing, because dressing is made out of cornbread and rolls are bread. But here you are, we are feasting, okay? It doesn't matter. We are overdoing it, overindulging ourselves, because that's what feasting is, okay? Then we've got like sometimes some families, especially here in Texas, we got the turkey, and we might have turkey two ways. Okay, we might have smoked turkey and baked turkey. We might have fried turkey and baked turkey, or what have you. We're gonna have at least two different turkeys. Then again, Texas home, we might have brisket. Then again, because we're in Texas, right? We might have tamales. Wherever you are in the US, there might be some like seemingly off thing that you guys eat that's regional to you at Thanksgiving, because at Thanksgiving time we trying to have everything, and I have not even mentioned the sides yet, the other sides, because we have macaroni and cheese, green bean casserole, greens, okay, just all the things, a smorgasbord of food, a feast. But then what happens when you fill up your plate as full as you can be, and then you sit down, belly up to your plate, and you eating, okay? And then you engorge yourself with all of this food to the point to where your stomach hurts, to where fitness people have to put out videos like, this is how you fix your plate at Thanksgiving. This is how you make sure you don't eat so much so that you ruin all your fitness goals. And then if you didn't make it through all of their good tips and everything, and you ate like this whole mountain of food, right? Then where you gonna be? Sleep in the bed, and then you're going to get up the next day and eat all the leftovers again and again and again. Oh, and then I forget the cranberry sauce. But anywho, it's a poor smorgasbord, and you don't eat like this any other day of the year. And is it good for you? No, it's not good for you. That's why the people who care about your health and wellness are in these internet streets like, hey, this is how you navigate. This is how you get through this, because this is a difficult time. And you've got to be able to say no. You got to be able to have self-control. You can't pick everything all at once. That's feast. That is feasting. That is not good. There is nothing good about that. But what is good is harvest time. See, harvest time is a little bit different, okay? Harvest time, according to how I'll say old world agriculture used to run, and Middle Eastern agriculture used to run, right? Agriculture was a very agriculture. Harvest was a very intimate season. It was a time where people would go and pick each ripe fruit or vegetable, whatever they were picking, one at a time, looking at it, assessing it, making sure that it was ready. Meanwhile, modern day agriculture takes the big tractor out and just clears the whole field. If it's good, great. If it's bad, throw it away or give it to the pigs for pig food, right? They're rushing through the whole thing instead of really being precise and intimate with how they're doing it. And so it's really, really, really important for us as we go through life and as we go through our businesses to not settle in on what the world has been saying about feast and famine. It's just not true. There's seed time and there's harvest. There's always going to be a time where the focus is on growth. The focus is on maturity. Because when you have a good seed time, then you'll have a great harvest. Now, one other really cool distinction that I learned between seed time and harvest is that seed time occurs in the rainy season and harvest occurs in the dry season. And why is this? Because in seed time, the seed that is planted below the surface needs nourishment in order to feed it. It needs provision. It needs a constant downpour in order to activate the nutrients within the soil so that it could grow. The rainy season is so good for seed time. That's why when we are in our businesses and we're going through these seasons of seed time of there being darkness and feeling like we're hidden or feeling like we're buried, where we have to pay attention to where is God reigning? What is he reigning on? RAINING, right? RAINING. Like, where is he reigning, right? And also, that's kind of a play on words because where is he reigning? He's reigning over everything. However, he goes and he stands and he shows up where he wants something to grow or where he wants us to focus our attention on to tend. And so that is very interesting. In seed time, we have to pay attention to what God is doing and where is God, and go and join and partner with him there. Because that's where the rain is, which means that's where our provision is, and God will take care of us. Now, I can say seed time does not always feel good, all right? In fact, most of the time, being buried, being in a growing season, being in a dark place, being hidden, and let's be frank, not making any money or as much money as we need, not feeling like we have security or stability, not knowing where our next client is coming from, are all things that are extremely frightening and very uncomfortable. However, when we take on the perspective that God is preparing us and we put our attentions in the place that he desires for us to put our attentions in, and I know this to be true for myself, the Lord will provide. In many of my seed times, I have had clients that came through, I don't know where they came from, how they just need what they need at the time that they needed it, to call me up and say, hey, Sarissa, can you come help me with this? Or, hey, Sarissa, can you come do that? And it just worked. One of the most recent times, I've told you guys that I'm coming out of this medical journey that I've been on. I had 4 surgeries between April and May. And so I was out of work for quite some time. And in me transitioning back into work, I had a client that called me that needed a very small project. And typically, I probably wouldn't have taken this project if I had a full workload. However, I decided, let me go on ahead and do this and take this project, right? Take this type of project. And so for a couple of reasons. One, because it eased me back in to the work and it was really good. And that project has been able to help me kind of make it through a little bit and make ends meet while I know I'm in a seed time. But on the flip side, what am I doing while I'm here in the dark? Okay, I am working on my marketing. I am working on my networking, getting with people, just kind of letting my community know, hey, I'm ready to work. My eye surgeries are behind me. My healing is behind me. I can see and see well, so I can continue to design these banger projects that I designed. Like, it's amazing. I'm here. But as I said, God gave me that little small project that has been able to sustain me, and a few other small ones along the way as I complete the projects that I was already doing prior to my leave. And so that is very, very exciting. And then what's funny is that harvest season, so seed time is the rainy season. Harvest season is dry season. Now, this is very interesting because when I looked and I saw, man, I was like, wow, it's dry season? That's very interesting. Primarily because dry season, when I hear it, doesn't really sound like a good thing, especially if you live in Texas and it gets to be 100 degrees for 3 months straight and it's dry. And anytime that it rains for like 5 minutes, you're like, oh, bless God. Dry season doesn't seem like it's a very good thing. But dry season is good. You want to know why? So a lot of times when we're looking at seed time and harvest, we're looking at the Middle Eastern culture and their primary crop, which is wheat. The Bible talks about wheat all the time. Well, during the rainy season, while the wheat is growing up and coming up, the plant itself is wet. And the wetness from the rainy season actually helps the plant like fully mature and like plump up, right? So it's ready. However, if it kept raining and didn't dry, then the plant wouldn't dry and it would rot instead. And so they wouldn't be able to harvest it because it would be rotted. So being dry and having the dryness in the harvest season is important because it prepares the harvest. It prepares the wheat for the harvest. It also prepares the wheat for the latter processes of the harvest that take place, which is the picking, the threshing, the separating the tares in the wheat, like all of that jazz, all happens and all can really be productive if the dry season was the rainy season stopped when it was supposed to, and the dry season kicked in when it was supposed to. Otherwise, all the wheat would be rotted and it would not be good, which means you wouldn't have seed for the next season, for the next seed time, and you wouldn't have seed to eat and consume right now. So I love how the Lord has set up this rhythm. And I love how he showed me that this is the kingdom perspective, the true perspective, the true rhythm, the true way it's supposed to be. It is not feast and famine. It is seed time and harvest. As you can tell, both of these seasons are good. That is what I've come to learn. That is why I make this settling in my mind to decide that I'm going to look at it and approach it, these dark places, these quiet times, this medical leave with no phone calls for interested clients, right? I'm going to take on the perspective that this is seed time. I'm going to take on the perspective that this is now the time for me to kick up what I'm doing so that I can tend to the seeds that God has given and directed me to tend to, so that I can know that when it's time to harvest, I can go and harvest the seeds. So I appreciate God for the time that he gave me to lay down, to rest, to recuperate, to be able to slowly regain my sight back so that I could have the spiritual insight to know how to move forward and know how to look feast and famine in the face and say, get behind me. This is seed time and harvest. And I am walking where God has called and purposed me to walk. Listen, There's many times, even in the design and the remodel process and the implementation of that, where even our own clients' projects are in seed time and harvest. There's a time of birthing and planting an idea when we first meet our client, getting that situated, working through the design, working through how we're going to come up with the best solution for them, working through the floor plans, meeting with contractors and the trades and like all the things. Seed time. And then there's a time of harvest. And that's when we are actually bringing those things that were under the surface that honestly, let's be real, our clients don't really always have a full grasp of what it is that we're envisioning, or even what it is that their seed actually contains, that they actually gave us, and we went and we planted in the ground in order to grow into this beautiful design. They don't really recognize the vastness of that until they see it in harvest season. And so harvest season is when that contractor that we interviewed and we helped them hire comes in, and they begin to build it out, and they begin to see things come down, right? Because in harvest season, we're still going through plucking some weeds, doing some things, tending to it so that the vision doesn't get overwhelmed by overgrowth, right? So we got to cut back some things. But then that comes out, and then we start to see rough-ends go in, tile go down, drywall, and I'm out of order here, but you get what I'm saying. We're starting to see the picture come into view, right? And they're starting to see the picture come into view. And then as it gets closer and we start picking in new things, I love remodeling. So it's like when the cabinets go in, oh my gosh, this is my new cabinet layout. This is great. Like that's the first fruits, right? And then, oh, this is going in, the paint's going up or what have you. Again, I'm out of order, but this is, oh man, these are, the second round of fruits that go up. And then at the end, they see it like all together and they're like, oh my gosh, this is my house. This is mine. I live here. That's the harvest. It's plentiful. And we really walk our clients through that, even in our design projects. And that, my friends, is exactly why I say interior design is ministry. And everything, every lesson, every tidbit that we can learn from the word can be applied to what we do to help us do what we do even better and work in the call even better that God has designed us to do. So, my friend, fellow interior designer, design, serve, thrive, and have fun while you're doing it. I'm Sarissa Latoy. This has been your Weekday Refill. I will see you